Where do you get the money?
This struggling mom's story
I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth.
just isn't adding up.
It looks like welfare fraud to me.
A daycare provider tires of a client who doesn't take her kids or their contract seriously. Hair braider Loran Holmes is suing her former daycare provider for breach of contract. Defendant Sonia Harris is countersuing for loss of income. Now it's Joe time.
Listen, Ms. Holmes, you're suing the Harrises, and you allege that they should refund payments you made to them along with some other damages because they terminated your daycare services without notice, which caused you unnecessary expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, you deny any liability to the plaintiff, and you allege that due to the misrepresentations, you had a severe loss of business opportunity. You're seeking $5,000 on your cross complaint. All right. Now, Ms. Holmes, state your case, please. You
Hello,
have two
Judge
children,
Joe Brown.
right?
This has come long.
You
Waited
do
to
hair
come and meet
braiding.
you.
You have
Yes,
a
sir.
12-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter.
Yes, sir.
All right, you enrolled those two children in her home-based child care facility. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In September year last, you alleged that without warning, you were informed that the defendants had dropped you as a client.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say you had to immediately take time off from your hair braiding business to find a new child care provider. Now, a question. Did either of the defendants inform you of this?
No, sir.
Well, how did you learn of this termination of your relationship?
Since I'm low income, I have child action services that is paid by the state, and I was informed by my worker when I called and talked to her because I hadn't been answering or getting calls answered by Sonia Harris.
How long had she not answered your call?
At least 3 days.
And you had to take off from work. Where were your children?
With my mother.
Well, why would they be with your mother such that when she did not return your calls for 3 days, you then learned from a representative of the agency that she had terminated your relationship with her?
I have shown up at the door and there was no answer, sir.
Doesn't that suggest that you weren't regularly taking the children by there?
Actually, sir, I have a variable schedule, which Miss Sonia was aware of. I can work
variable schedule.
I can work 0 to 7 days a week.
So you had to cancel numerous hair appointments over what period of time?
I believe it was September 26th through the 27th, 28th, around that time.
So in 2 days, you claim you lost a minimum of $500 income in 2 days, and you worked 7 days a week. My goodness, that would be $1,500 bloody dollars in 1 week minimum. Times 4, that's $6,000 a month. And you get public assistance?
No, Your Honor.
Well, then I can do the math. That's what the inference is. So how do you state the basis for the claim of $500?
If you'd like me to start
You
at
want
the
to
beginning.
prove that?
We can drop that part, but I would like to
I
start
don't
from the
want
beginning.
to because I'm paying taxes and it looks like welfare
Right.
fraud to me. And by the way, how do they become liable for $1,579.44 for an ambulance bill?
Because the fire department came to my house and they came and picked me up.
What's that got to do
Paramedics.
with it? What do they have to do with that?
Because I was under strain and stress from...
You're about to get caught and busted and might be put in jail or federally prosecuted from the looks of things. And by the way, you also want damages for having to get alternative child care, right?
Yes, sir.
How?
Because I had to pay out of my pocket the money that I had been saving from working, from slaving, from braiding hair. It's a hard job.
Excuse me,
It's a
under the
long-hour job.
guidelines, all you had to do was submit another claim and they would have taken care of paying for that alternative child care provision.
wouldn't
So
have.
why would you suffer a loss of income because you couldn't get anybody to take care of your children with the state subsidy?
The child care provider that is the licensed child care provider is the one that charged me the $850.
And how do you afford, you say you paid it, how do you afford to pay your mama $800
I didn't
for
pay my
that
mom
period
$800.
of time when there's some income guidelines that you've already exceeded by your testimony? How does that happen?
Excuse me, sir. Everything that I collect is documented. Everything that I do, I file taxes on it. I've been braiding since 1995.
How much
As I
did
was
you
trying to
claim
tell
on
you,
your taxes last year?
$14,000.
And you've already claimed that, oh, we're going somewhere?
No, I'm having a hard time.
What is your complaint about this? You just out of the blue, they tell you your kids can't come here anymore. No, they don't tell you that. They tell the child care entity that she can't bring these kids here.
Correct. After I was leaving numerous messages for her, calling her numerous times.
Well, when
coming
did
to
you
her
leave
house.
the children there?
I don't have the exact dates, but it was in September around the 20th. And around the
How long have you been
22nd
leaving them there?
and 23rd, that's when she stopped answering my phone calls.
Why do you think
After
she
I
did
came
that?
to the door.
Why do you
Because I
think
have
she
a
did
variable
that?
schedule, and she wants children that are there that's a full-time or a set schedule. So I can call her if someone calls me and asks to get their hair braided and says, I need you right now. Then I will call my child care provider and ask her, can I bring my kids over right now? I was approved from 0 hours or 0 days a week to 7 days a week. So if I didn't have any clients, then I worked 0 days a week. If I had 7 clients 7 days a week, I would work 7 days. So that, with that schedule being variable and the hours being the hours that they were, that I braid up until 3:30 in the morning, maybe it wasn't comfortable for her. I don't know. That's what I'm here for.
Well, my God, who is expecting for somebody to leave a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old till 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning?
A 24-hour
without
daycare
notice.
provider. That was our agreement, Your Honor. Before I took her as a child care provider, I told her that.
As per my conversation with Ms. Sonia Harris of September 28th of year last, this letter is to confirm that the last day of payment by Child Action, Inc. was 9/27/09 for the parent and children listed below.
Correct. And do you see the part where...
You have the right to ask families using your services to leave your facility or home for any reason.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
She brought her kids, I think, 2 or 3 times. And at that point, I called Child Action. And I told them that I wasn't going to keep her kids anymore because she wasn't giving me notice. She would actually walk into my daycare with Mariah and sit there for 5 or 10 minutes and then say, I'm leaving.
The plaintiff says she sent her children to the defendant's daycare facility. She says the defendant didn't give her proper notice and just discontinued their contract. Let's take a look.
Now, you tell me your side of things. I want to hear your cross complaint.
Okay.
What's going on here, please?
Judge Brown, I'm countersuing Loran for $5,270.36. And this is for time that was unused in my child care from February of 09 to September of 09. We talked, and she stated that her schedule was a variable schedule, in which I did understand that at the time because we are 24 hours. But I don't think she understood what 24-hour schedule is. I think that as a business owner, as a hair braider, you have to respect people's time. And if she's going to have clients, she needs to let her clients know that I have to be on a schedule. So it really didn't go like that. She wouldn't give me a 24-hour notice. She would call me on a whim and say, I'm bringing my kids in. Most of the time, I would actually take her children into my daycare. Now, there was not ever a time that she knocked on my door and I didn't answer my door. There was never a time. I'm not afraid of her. She doesn't have a gun, or, I mean, what am I intimidated by? Why would I not answer my door to either let her know, look, you didn't call me in enough advance, I took a walk in, so I won't be able to keep your children today. That's just the bottom line of it. So she came to my care from February to May. June and July, she didn't even show up. I don't know what happened to her children during those 2 months. I called Child Action.
Now, you're saying she doesn't even show up for 2
She
whole
doesn't even
months.
show up. She doesn't call me. There was times In fact, let me just go push back a little bit.
And I live right around the corner.
She wasn't
Well,
bringing...
you know, it says, hold on, payment
Okay.
will be processed within 10 working days of receipt of attendance form. That's what this is. It's a
Thank
copy.
you very much.
And there's a 2-month absence, excuse me, in this time period where there are no such forms for claim of income. So that
Correct.
seems to corroborate her testimony.
Well, in September, she brought her kids, I think, 2 or 3 times. And at that point, I called Child Action, and I told them that I wasn't going to keep her kids anymore because she wasn't giving me notice. She would actually walk into my daycare with Mariah and sit there for 5 or 10 minutes and then say, I'm leaving.
The business that I'm in, I have no control over when I'm going to braid or when I'm going to work, or if somebody gets off at 3:30 in the afternoon and needs their hair braided and it's going to take 12 hours and I'm done at 3:30. That's why I fought for the time at Child Action for me to get those hours approved, that I can start from the salon that I work through from 9:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the morning. I can take an appointment anytime throughout that day.
She doesn't even have a business license. I checked. She has no business license.
I work for Amici Salon, ma'am. They have a business license.
That you do it at your home.
I do it all over the place.
Now, you've provided the documentation that you had numerous requests from others to provide child care services, but you had to turn them down because she had represented that she was coming by.
Right.
But
And I can't...
the agreement you have with them is until you terminate the relationship, you have to keep that slot open.
Right.
So it's like you got to get totally discommoded because
Absolutely.
she's got variable hours
Right.
that are without any notice at all. You know,
Exactly.
I got to bring the kid down there and then don't show up.
Right.
So your complaint's denied. I'm granting your cross
Okay.
complaint $4,680 in your cost.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
This courtroom is now in recess.
Well, the defendant provided daycare, but they didn't like the childlike behavior of the plaintiff. I'd say the judge agreed. Her case is denied. The defendants take it on the counterclaim.